At a bustling street food stall, customers eagerly order tteokbokki from the friendly vendor. Suddenly, a man begins live streaming from the stall, greeting the vendor and startling the other customers. A beautiful woman's face, adorned with white flowers, fills the screen with a gentle gaze. The other customers, amazed by the live streamer, ask what his YouTube channel is called. The streamer reveals herself to be a woman, introducing her channel as Scratch Off Lottery Ticket. Now at home, she begins her mukbang live stream, explaining to her viewers she had to get takeout. She proclaims she's starting with a small bite before lifting a gigantic mouthful of noodles. Her viewers laugh in disbelief and awe as she successfully stuffs the massive bite into her mouth. Lost in the moment, she savors the delicious taste, her face beaming with pure happiness. She's thrilled to receive a donation during her stream and enthusiastically thanks the viewer, Remora. Her joy vanishes when she reads the full message, a cruel, fat-shaming insult from Remora. Visibly shaken, she forces a pained laugh and awkwardly tells her viewers not to eat like her. Trying to recover, she flexes her muscles and insists she's a healthy pig who works out. As she moves onto a hot dog, another hateful message from Remora pops up, mocking her. Her laughter becomes strained and painful while her loyal viewers urge the troll to stop. After the stream, she sits alone, feeling sick and disheartened by the constant criticism about her eating. Staring into her dark monitor, she sadly wishes she could finally lose the weight. Despite her despair, she pushes herself through a grueling workout, lifting heavy weights with determination. The small-time YouTuber, Kang Yunji, strains with every last bit of her strength. To support her streaming career, Kang Yunji works a part-time job at a convenience store. Her blonde coworker struggles to lift a heavy pack of water bottles from the floor. Yunji effortlessly lifts the heavy pack, surprising her coworker Ji-won Young with her strength. Joking that the weight is perfect for a barbell row, Yunji earns the nickname Gym Rat from Ji-won Young. As Ji-won Young's shift ends, she and Yunji exchange friendly goodbyes outside the store. Yunji discovers a pile of snacks and a sweet note left for her by her kind coworker. She sighs, figuring the snacks must be gifts for the beautiful Ji-won Young from admiring customers. A young man in a pink hoodie enters the store, catching Yunji's attention. They look at each other, and a brief, mutual flash of recognition passes between them. As the man browses, Yunji cautiously approaches and asks if he needs help finding anything. The man recognizes her as the streamer Unscratched Lottery Ticket, leaving Yunji stunned to meet a fan. Overcome with joy, she covers her mouth, amazed to finally meet a real-life viewer. The fan smiles kindly and presents her with a cake from an expensive deli as a gift. Flustered by the generous gift, Yunji tries to refuse but gratefully accepts it with thanks. Her happiness evaporates when he asks her to give the cake to the morning shift girl. He cheerfully says goodbye, leaving a frozen Yunji holding the gift that was never meant for her. Bang! Mortified by her assumption, she hides behind the counter in utter embarrassment. Still blushing, her spiraling thoughts are interrupted by her phone buzzing on the counter. It's a coworker asking her to cover a shift, and the offer of double pay is too good to refuse. The scene shifts to the Shinla, a grand hotel tower glowing in the evening light. Inside, a lavish buffet is underway, with guests mingling and enjoying the food. A voice calls out in the crowd, startling a group of guests, including a familiar face from the food stall. It's Yunji, now in a waitress uniform, carefully carrying a heavy tray through the crowd. She pauses to catch her breath, miserable in her uncomfortably tight uniform. As she clears the table, she moves carefully, terrified her strained uniform will rip at any moment. A sense of dread washes over her as she looks over her shoulder. To her absolute horror, she realizes she's working at a massive gathering for fellow YouTubers. She spots two famous streamers, feeling a bitter pang of jealousy over their incredible success. Panicking, she grabs a plate to hide her face. Terrified someone will recognize her, she tries to dismiss her fear, but her heart sinks when someone excitedly shouts out another creator's name. A handsome and impeccably dressed man makes a grand entrance, greeting the adoring crowd. The crowd murmurs in awe at the handsome, silver-haired man, praising his perfect looks. Yunji gasps, completely starstruck by his beauty and thrilled she took the shift. Suddenly, a fan screams the name Joram Neum, causing a startled Yunji to stumble. Panicking, she loses her grip, sending her entire tray of food flying into the air. Crash. She tumbles to the ground in a humiliating mess of scattered plates and food. On her hands and knees, she groans in pain as the other guests stare at the scene. Pop! To her horror, a button on her strange shirt bursts open, exposing her midriff. The sound echoes as Yunji freezes, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. The guests whisper about how embarrassing her wardrobe malfunction is, and Yunji kneels in shame. The guest realizes she looks familiar as Yunji glances up, filled with a new sense of dread. When the guest wonders if she's a YouTuber, Yunji flushes with mortification, realizing she's been recognized. A jacket is suddenly draped over her shoulders, and she looks up in confusion. The handsome streamer from earlier kneels beside her, asking if she's okay. She stares in disbelief, recognizing the famous YouTuber, Bang Seojun. Trying to save face, Yunji laughs it off, blaming the too small uniform for the incident. She thanks him but calls his shirt pathetic, leaving a bewildered Bang Seojun to question her choice of words. She obliviously rambles about his ruined limited edition shirt, and his friendly expression twists into a dark, menacing smile. As another woman approaches, Yunji turns, while Bang Seojun sits down, looking thoroughly irritated. Two fans excitedly approach Bang Seojun, identifying him as the streamer Jun rating based on his voice. He panics, sweating profusely as he nervously denies being the famous streamer. A thought reveals this is why he avoids face reveals, while Yunji watches, confused by the interaction. A fan grabs Yunji, insisting she knows Jun rating's voice from being a longtime subscriber. The fans keep pressuring a flustered Bang Seojun, who continues his denials while they speculate about his looks and persona. The fans swarm him for pictures, ignoring his protests as Yunji quietly walks away from the chaos. Leaving the party, Yunji overhears two women cruelly gossiping that she's too ashamed to lose weight, or maybe she just can't. Walking home alone, she spirals into self-doubt, wondering if she truly appears lazy to others. She reflects on her past, remembering she has always loved food and has always been chubby. The flashback shows her younger self joyfully eating a piece of fried chicken. Her happy memory is shattered when her mother catches her, judgmentally asking if she's eating again. Her mother's harsh words about her round face and thick calves echo in her mind, haunting her. She remembers her mother begging her to go on a diet, calling her pretty face a waste. A memory from the gym shows her screaming in pain while her trainer pushes her to her limit. In another memory, she angrily criticizes another streamer's recipe, obsessing over the perfect way to eat. She pushes herself relentlessly on a stationary bike, sweat pouring down her face. A close-up reveals her absolute exhaustion and determination as she continues her grueling workout. Stepping on the scale, she's horrified to see she's gained 4 kilograms despite all her effort. She sits alone in her dark room, staring blankly at her glowing computer monitor. Anxious and defeated, she wonders why she gained more weight and what she's doing wrong. Desperate, she decides she wants to lose weight fast and become skinny as soon as possible. Her glasses reflect her frantic online search for quick weight loss solutions. She scrolls through countless ads for diet pills and miracle cures, desperate for an answer. Giving into desperation, she reaches for a blister pack of diet pills in the dark. The world blurs and spins, signifying a dangerous turn of events. The scene cuts to Yunji lying unconscious in a hospital bed with an IV drip in her arm. Lying awake in the hospital, she questions everything, unable to remember the last time she felt happy. A fleeting memory of pure joy appears, her, smiling, simply enjoying a delicious meal. The memory fades as she breaks down, weeping that she wanted to be skinny just as much as she wanted to be happy. Back in the present, she walks with new resolve, vowing not to destroy her health like that again. She recommits to losing weight the right way, slowly, healthily, and through proper exercise. Her determined walk is interrupted when she stops at an ATM, remembering she has rent to pay. At the ATM, a strange message prompts her to scan a barcode for lottery information, leaving her bewildered. She finds a first prize lottery scratch ticket, wondering what it is. Confused, she wonders why a lottery ticket would be at the ATM and if someone left it behind. K-thumps suddenly, she is violently thrown from the ATM booth. Gasping in terror, she looks back at the now dark ATM booth, wondering why the lights suddenly went out. She looks down in surprise as the lottery ticket in her hand begins to react. Back home, she resigns herself to having taken the ticket and decides to check its expiration date. She quickly flips it over, realizing with a jolt that the expiration date might be today. Thud. She's surrounded by a pile of previously scratched tickets, all of them losers. She scratches another one, revealing yet another dud. Ugh! She groans in frustration as she uncovers another losing ticket. Surrounded by a mountain of losing tickets, she sighs in dejection, questioning the point of it all. With renewed but frantic energy, she begins scratching the first prize ticket she found at the ATM. Zzz! Exhausted from her futile efforts, she falls asleep on the couch, the table covered in duds. Suddenly, the unscratched prize ticket from the ATM begins to glow with a brilliant, magical light. She wakes with a start, seeing she's overslept and is late for her live stream, with missed calls from Bang Seojun. Panicking, she grabs a box of food and frantically prepares for her mukbang stream. She starts her stream only to get a confusing donation from Piggeter asking who she is, and she quickly reintroduces herself. But on camera, she is miraculously slim and beautiful, leaving her viewers just as confused. She stares in stunned silence, completely unable to process her own reflection. The viewer's question echoes in her mind as she tries to reintroduce her channel, Unscratched Lottery Ticket. On screen, however, her appearance is completely different. A slim woman her viewers don't recognize. She stammers in utter disbelief, trying to understand what has happened to her. In her shock, she fumbles and drops the entire box of food. Thump. She scrambles on the floor, trying to clean up the mess. Peeking at her monitor, she finally sees her reflection and asks in total shock who this person is. Annoyed, she pulls out her phone, searching for a rational explanation. She searches for sudden weight loss, dismissing the fantastical webtoon results and screaming that this can't be real. Looking at her new self in the mirror, she wonders if this is even possible, or if she's developed a serious health problem. The scene shifts to the famous streamer Jun Rating, who announces to his massive audience that he's making a delicious cake. He begins by placing cake sheets into a pan, explaining that their shape doesn't matter for the recipe. Then, he starts gently crushing the cake into fine crumbs. Next, he grinds cookies into large crumbs using a blender. He combines the crumbs with marshmallow cream, shaping the mixture into rounded forms. He proudly presents the finished product, a disgustingly realistic cat litter cake, and the chat goes wild. Signing off, he encourages everyone to try the recipe and receives a massive donation praising his creation. After the stream, he pulls off his hot mask, complaining about the heat rash on his face. Removing the mask reveals the handsome Bang Seojun, who wonders aloud if he needs a thinner mask. Thrilled with his creation's aroma, he decides there's only one person who should taste it, Kang Yoonji. Yoonji answers her phone, a worried expression on her face. On the other end, Bang Seojun excitedly tells her he made a viral-worthy cake and wants her to try it. She quietly informs him she can't, as she's currently waiting at the hospital. Stunned, he asks if she's sick, his cheerful mood instantly vanishing. He grows more concerned as she vaguely mentions needing to get checked, pressing her for more information. His mind jumps to the worst conclusion, a terminal illness, and he panics as she hangs up. Staring at his phone, he worries, remembering that she seemed perfectly fine just yesterday. He tries to brush it off as nothing, but the worry lingers. His expression darkens as he realizes she never goes to the hospital, and a deep sense of dread sets in. Then, an idea strikes him. He can bring her the cake as a get-well gift at the hospital. Meanwhile, his cat makes a deposit in the actual litter box. Well, that's one way to get fresh ingredients. Kaya! Bang Seojun shrieks in horror as his cat, Fart Boom, contaminates the special cake he made for Yoonji. Staring at the ruined cake, he yells at his cat before gagging at the smell, unable to tell the real poop from the fake. Deciding he can't go empty-handed, he laments that only plain bread is left to bring as a gift. He furiously prepares a new dish, yelling that a true master never blames his tools for a setback. He proudly presents his new creation, a beautiful, professionally decorated cherry cake. Holding the small cake, he realizes this portion won't be nearly enough for her. He searches his kitchen, wondering if he has a larger container among his stacks of bowls. Suddenly, he remembers a custom-made container he ordered for an upcoming video. Opening a cabinet reveals jars of preserved human heads, and he calmly wonders if one is the right size for a single dessert. He pipes a grotesque, intestine-like filling into a container, hoping it turns out delicious. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Yoonji desperately insists to the doctor that she used to weigh 96 kilograms. The doctor calmly tries to confirm her story about losing half her body overnight, while she panics, certain it's a disease. The doctor and his nurse exchange a deeply skeptical look, clearly doubting her sanity. Unable to help, the doctor informs her he's writing a referral to a larger hospital. In the waiting room, Yoonji clutches the referral, insisting to herself that she isn't hallucinating. The boy's mother apologizes, thinking he saw a tattoo, but the child insists on scanning the barcode, leaving Yoonji confused. As the mother carries her screaming child away, Yoonji watches, bewildered by his tantrum over a barcode. A scream of terror echoes from an apartment building as the scene shifts abruptly. Back home, she looks in the mirror and is horrified to find a real barcode tattooed on her neck. Despondent in her bathroom, she wonders what is happening to her body as a call from her manager comes in. Her manager yells through the phone, demanding to know why she suddenly can't come to work. Yoonji apologizes, citing a sudden illness, but her manager complains that there's no one to cover her shift. She nervously offers to have a friend take her shift, prompting her manager to ask who the friend is. Two young men outside a convenience store discuss the pretty part-timer, specifying they mean the girl on the morning shift. Inside the store, the two young men approach the counter where the new cashier works. A beautiful girl with long brown hair, Yoonji's friend, kindly asks the customers if they need a bag. The two young men are instantly love-struck, blushing and staring in stunned silence at her beauty. The new cashier stops scanning and looks down with a start, her expression puzzled. One of the customers timidly tries to scan the barcode on her neck with the store scanner. Flustered, she asks if he wants her to ring up the donuts he's holding. Instead of the donuts, he presents a box of lottery tickets, catching her by surprise. She cheerfully assumes the gift is for the other part-timer, but the boy stammers, trying to correct her. Blushing furiously, he blurts out that he fell in love with her at first sight. Internally, she panics, realizing her nervousness is making her stutter and regretting she couldn't give him her own note. The boy shyly offers her a box of donuts as a gift, asking her to please accept it. She surprises him by saying this is her first time, leaving him momentarily confused. She clarifies with a smile that it's her first time receiving a gift from a customer. The boys are completely smitten, gazing at her with hearts in their eyes. Inspired, his friends also offer her snacks from the store as gifts. Overjoyed, she thanks them all, promising to enjoy the treats. Later that night, the scene shifts to her apartment building. As the cashier walks home wondering about dinner, a masked Bang Seojin passes her in the hall, carrying a strange container. A close-up reveals the terrifying contents of his jar, a preserved human head. She stops dead in her tracks, her face a mask of pure horror, as she questions what she just saw. Panicked, she covers her mouth, wondering if she's losing her mind and realizing she's in deep trouble. She fumbles with her keypad, desperately trying to get into her apartment to escape. Just as she's about to open the door, a hand grabs her shoulder, and Bang Seojin's voice says, "Hey." Reacting on pure instinct, she screams and violently elbows her pursuer in the face. Thump. The force of her elbow sends the masked man tumbling backward as his grotesque jaw goes flying. Standing over his still form, she pants in panic, wondering if she's finally taken care of the threat. She looks down at her arm, disgusted and confused by the strange pink substance splattered all over her. The jar lies shattered on the ground, its brain-like contents spilled across the floor and his legs. Gah! She lets out a piercing scream and kicks the horrifying jar away in a fit of terror. Flailing wildly, she shrieks in horror that she's covered in pieces of a human brain. But pausing, she cautiously sniffs her sleeve and smells not gore, but sweet milk cream, raspberry syrup, and cake. Looking at the mess again, she realizes the head was just a picture on a piece of paper. It's a photo of a man's face, and she realizes there's only one person she knows who would pull such a weird prank. Her eyes widen in shocked recognition, wondering if it's really him. She stares in disbelief at the unconscious man's bruised face, realizing it is indeed Bang Seojin. A promotional image for the series Unscratched Lottery marks a pause in the story. The scene shifts to the next morning, where Bang Seojin is sleeping peacefully on a couch. He wakes to the sight of the girl from last night, who cheerfully tells him his cake is delicious. He jolts upright, screaming in confusion about where he is, why his face hurts, and where Yoonji has gone. She smiles awkwardly, trying to calm him by explaining that she is, in fact, Yoonji. He furiously rejects her claim, launching into a detailed and insulting description of the real Yoonji's chubby, powerful physique. Her smile tightens into a menacing grin as she listens to his unflattering assessment of her former body. She pulls her hair back from her cheeks in a familiar gesture, asking if this pose helps him recognize her. Explaining it's her signature photo pose to hide her chubby cheeks, she desperately insists that she really is Yoonji. Flashbacks of the old Yoonji in the exact same pose flood his memory, and he stares, stunned, finally whispering her name. He tests her, asking about his streamer identity, their cat Fart Boom, and a secret, all of which she answers correctly. He recalls more embarrassing stories only she would know, his face frozen in horrified realization. Laughing with relief, he hugs her, finally convinced she is his friend, while she begs him to shut up before he reveals more. His mood shifts back to worry as he asks if her hospital visit means she's dying, but she quickly reassures him she's fine. She thoughtfully wonders if all her intense exercising simply decided to pay off all at once. He leans in close and gasps in shock, noticing a strange, glowing light on the back of her neck. Shouting, "Bug!" he grabs a blanket and begins swatting her shoulder as she screams in startled confusion. He sheepishly explains he was trying to catch a bug, while she pats her shoulder, noting the feeling is gone. Looking down, she notes that since her sudden weight loss, none of her clothes seem to fit her properly anymore. Bang Seo-jun's face turns beet red as he stares at her exposed shoulder. He suddenly freaks out, yelling that she can't do that, leaving her utterly confused by his reaction. Kyuk. He frantically wraps her up like a burrito in the blanket, yelling that she needs to stay warm. Panicked, he tells her to go back to the hospital because something is clearly wrong and bolts out the door. Still wrapped in the blanket, she stares after him, baffled, then notices that he left his shoes by the door. A close-up reveals the sparkly pink slippers with giant bows that he's now wearing. She realizes with dawning horror that he's now walking down the street wearing her ridiculous slippers. Later, Yoonji sits down at her desk, in front of her streaming setup. She rests her hand on her mouse, ready to get to work. Staring at her monitor, she sighs, thinking that this is when she would normally be starting her stream. She looks at her reflection, lamenting that she can't possibly stream looking like this since no one would believe it's her. Realizing her fans might be waiting, she decides she should at least post a notice on her channel. She looks over her channel's video history, reflecting on the hard work she put in for the past year. Thinking of her new appearance, she knows her viewers are waiting for her after that confusingly brief appearance. She runs a hand through her hair, overwhelmed, and admitting to herself that this whole situation is hitting her hard. As she looks at her phone, her expression suddenly changes to one of surprise. The scene changes to a live stream by famous mukbanger Short-Mouthed Joram, who restarts his broadcast after some lag. He takes a sip of his seafood broth, savoring the flavor and declaring it amazing. Announcing it's time for the real mukbang, he prepares to make a lobster butter grill for his audience. Joram shocks his viewers by tossing the cooked lobsters, declaring he's discarding the broth ingredients. Instead of a feast, he prepares a single tiny piece of food on an ornate plate. He smiles smugly at the camera, holding up the minuscule bite and announcing, "Let's eat." Watching on her phone, Yoonji bursts out laughing, finding Joram's whole performance hilarious. Joram ends his stream as a huge donation comes in, but Yoonji cries out in dismay that she wanted the leftovers. Her stomach rumbles loudly, reminding her just how hungry she is. Now genuinely starving, she brightly decides that fish cakes sound like a great idea for lunch. The scene shifts to an outdoor food cart as a young man's cheerful voice calls out to the owner. A streamer named Tung enthusiastically tells the food cart auntie he starved himself just to come eat her food. The auntie sheepishly informs him that a customer just bought everything, leaving Titing stunned by the empty trays. Pointing, the auntie reveals that a single young woman ate the entire cart's worth of food. The camera reveals Yoonji sitting before a mountain of empty dishes, still happily eating noodles. Tang stares in disbelief as Yoonji enjoys her massive meal, wondering how she could eat it all herself. While live streaming, Tang gawks at Yoonji's incredible appetite as his chat explodes with amazement. Suddenly realizing she's being filmed, Yoonji spits out her food in a comical spray of surprise. As his chat roasts Yoonji's eating habits, Tang frantically tries to shush them while streaming. Tang stammers an apology for streaming as donations pour in, nicknaming Yoonji Pelican Boss for her appetite. As Yoonji gets up to pay, Ting panics, begging her to stay and offering to leave so she can eat in peace. She clarifies that she's not leaving because of him. She's just finished and is now going to eat chicken. Her accidental cameo goes viral, with a hilarious clip of her looting the food cart, getting over 1.6 million views. Two young boys watch the video, laughing hysterically at the Pelican Bro, who eats like crazy. The boy looks from the viral video on his phone to the woman in front of him and is stunned into silence. He leaps to his feet, pointing dramatically and screaming her new internet nickname, "It's Pelican Bro." Now surrounded by her new fans, the boys are in awe of Didoong, marveling that she's still eating. Confused by the attention, Yoonji is swarmed by the boys begging her for photos and videos. Her phone shows the viral video of her mukbang feat, prompting a shocked reaction of, "Are you insane?" Lying in bed, Yoonji frets over her unwanted fame, worrying that someone she knows might recognize her. Annoyed by the constant notifications, she groans as her phone buzzes relentlessly on her bed. She snatches her phone, angrily wondering what all the commotion is about so early in the morning. She's shocked to find hundreds of comments debating her identity and miraculous transformation, with some certain she's the same person. Jorum's live stream shows him reacting in shock to a viewer's side-by-side comparison of Yoonji's old and new appearance. The story has even hit Instagram, where a post about her sudden change goes viral, much to her horror. Overwhelmed, she buries her head, deciding to just lay low while her phone continues to blow up. Staring at her phone under a barrage of notifications, she realizes just how big this situation has become. At her desk, she reads comments debating her looks, from skeptics to fans asking for her plastic surgeon's number. Deciding to go offline, she starts typing a notice to her fans that she'll be taking a break from streaming. Just as she's about to post, a large donation pops up from a fan named Moongnim, asking about the controversy. Startled by the sudden pop-up, she jumps back from her computer in surprise. To her horror, she realizes her camera accidentally went live, broadcasting her shocked reaction to a wildly excited chat. "Ah!" she screams as she smashes her webcam to stop the accidental broadcast. She slumps to the floor in defeat, staring at the now broken camera that caused her latest problem. A massive donation of 500,000 won suddenly appears on her screen from mouth-short Joram. She stares at her monitor in utter disbelief, wondering if the famous mukbanger really just donated to her. The notification from Joram remains on screen, confirming the massive donation is real. Still processing the shock, her wide-eyed stares fixed on the screen as the reality of the situation sinks in. Her phone rings with a call from Joram himself, and she nervously answers, thanking him for reaching out. On the other end, a cheerful Joram graciously greets her and asks if she's free to meet tomorrow evening. Flustered, but excited, Yoonji enthusiastically agrees to the meeting, promising she can eat anything. Ring still reeling from the call, she sits stunned, wondering what in the world is happening. Looking at her phone, she's utterly shocked by the realization she's doing a collaboration with Joram. "Ah!" She explodes in a mix of panic and excitement, slamming her desk and wondering what to do. Now, frantic, she rummages through her closet, realizing she can't just dress casually for such a big event. Looking at her reflection in her oversized hoodie, she debates buying new clothes for the meeting tomorrow. She pulls out another sweatshirt, still unsure of what to wear. Her eyes land on a large trash bag, and she notes she still hasn't thrown it away. Her phone suddenly rings, interrupting her thoughts as she stands by her closet. She quickly answers, eagerly asking if it's Joram with more news. Bang Seojun corrects her from the other end, but then excitedly shares her excitement about the Joram collab. He unleashes a torrent of frantic yelling, chastising her for adding fuel to the fire when everyone is already gossiping. She confidently brushes off his concern, saying she's used to getting hate, leaving him stammering that he didn't mean it like that. Deciding to face this situation head-on, she slips on her shoes, declaring she needs to seize the opportunity. Changing his tune, Seojun forgets the argument and asks her to meet him at Yongtong Station to help him out. "Kia!" She cheers that it's shopping time and leaps out the door, grabbing the trash bag on her way. Outside, she finally throws the large trash bag into a public bin. She skips away happily, humming to herself as she thinks about what to buy. The camera focuses on the discarded trash bag as she runs off into the sunset. Arriving at a clothing store, she stares in awe at the stylish outfits on the mannequins. She blushes, admitting to herself that she's only ever watched others wear pretty clothes like these. Blushing, she quickly urges him inside, desperate to find an outfit for her stream as he laughs behind her. She models a wild outfit with a cactus shirt and polka dot pants, proudly asking what he thinks of her youthful vibe. Unimpressed, he holds up another shirt, admitting he doesn't know fashion since she always had to fit her body to her clothes. She takes the folded clothes he's offering her. A shop employee rushes over, telling her how amazing the new outfit looks on her as she poses confidently. Thrilled with her new look, she eagerly turns to Bang Seojun, asking if it looks good. Flustered, He fumbles to describe her look with mismatched fashion terms, which she playfully corrects to spring warm tone. Overjoyed, she declares she's buying the outfit in every color, leaving him speechless as he holds her shopping bags. As a saleswoman offers a discount on shoes, Yoonji happily agrees to buy them too, while Seojin looks on in exhaustion. Surrounded by a mountain of shopping bags, an exhausted Bang Seojin sits down, begging to just go home. A saleswoman watches them, marveling at how Yoonji has changed overnight, looking like herself but also completely different. Yoonji excitedly offers to treat Seojin to dinner, and he wearily agrees to anything just to get going. Loaded with shopping bags, they walk down the street as she excitedly lists all the food she wants to eat. She leans into him happily, already planning dessert, while he looks on with a patient expression. An image of her past and present self appears, both laughing with joy at the thought of the coming feast. Bang Seojin watches her with a quiet, thoughtful expression, saying nothing. As she skips ahead with the shopping bags, he realizes that despite her new appearance, Yoonji is still Yoonji. The scene shifts to her apartment building at night as she hums happily on her way home. Too excited to sleep, she thrashes around in bed, unable to calm down. A storm rages outside, with lightning flashing across the dark sky. She stares at her gloomy reflection in the rain-streaked window, a sense of unease settling in. In a horrifying dream, she sees her old body and grabs her stomach, wondering if she got fat again. Waking up, she looks at her reflection in horror to see her old body has returned, panicking that her collab is today. She grabs her stomach in disbelief, wondering if last night's feast caused this, but knows that's impossible. She checks her phone and sees a kind message from Joram about bringing snacks, adding to her mounting dread. Clenching her phone, she despairs, realizing she's completely screwed and can't possibly show up looking like this. Grasping her head in panic, she tries to think, recalling that the weight loss only started after a barcode appeared 4 days ago. A dark, gritty flashback begins, taking her back to that fateful day. The flashback shows her past self being humiliated and yelled at during her part-time job. Her flashback recalls the day she met the handsome and famous Mr. Joram. The memory continues, showing the moment she scratched a strange S lottery ticket. She remembers its result was a 5th-place win, marked with the code D4. Her thoughts clarify that everything began the moment she scratched that first winning ticket. Panicked, she realizes the lottery is her only hope and vows to win again so she can do the stream with Joram. She remembers her new, slimmer self throwing away the crucial trash bags just yesterday. In her mind, she sees sanitation workers already collecting the trash in the pouring rain. Kya! She dashes out into the storm, screaming desperately for the garbage truck to wait. Rummaging through the wet trash, she refuses a worker's advice to go home, insisting she has to find something important. Deep inside a bag, she spots the red lottery ticket wrappers and cries out in renewed hope. Triumphantly, she hoists the salvaged bag of tickets into the air, screaming that she found it. Back inside, she frantically tears open the soggy lottery ticket packages. Ugh. She scratches the first ticket, only to see the crushing word, miss. In disbelief, she cries out, as a second ticket also reveals she's lost. Cursing in frustration, she scratches a third ticket, only to find another miss. With a trembling hand, she stares at the very last ticket, whispering that it's all she has left. She freezes in dread, coin poised over the ticket, unable to make the final scratch. An abstract image of the word miss flashes through her mind, a symbol of her fading hope. Her hand continues to shake as she repeats to herself that there is only one left now. She remains paralyzed with fear, hesitating over the final, crucial ticket. Again, the disheartening vision of a losing ticket fills her thoughts with dread. Elsewhere, Joram sits in his apartment looking at his phone, finding the situation strange. His unanswered texts to Yoonji show his growing concern, asking if she's okay and mentioning he brought snacks. When a staff member notes it's almost time, Joram decides to post a cancellation notice, assuming Yoonji is ghosting him. Just then, a slim Yoonji appears in the doorway, startling Joram as she apologizes for being late. Peeking nervously into the room, she forces a smile and asks if they should start the live stream. Onlookers at the stream gossip about her dramatic change, wondering if it's from weight loss injections. Now looking beautiful and confident, she reads a comment from a jealous fan saying she hit the jackpot by losing weight. While Yoonji sits awkwardly, 2 staff members decide not to ask her secret, figuring she'll discuss it on stream eventually. She breathes a sigh of relief, admitting to herself she thought she was completely screwed when she didn't win the lottery. In a dark memory, she thinks that without the help of that person, she never would have made it to the collab. She recalls staring at the losing tickets, recognizing it was the first real opportunity she'd ever had. Crying in a flashback, her former self clutches a ticket, lamenting that this effortless chance is gone and she's back where she started. The memory continues, recalling the secondhand embarrassment others felt about her desperation to lose weight. She remembers a hateful comment from a viewer named Laura mocking her mukbang stream. Crushing a losing ticket in her fist, she compares her life to a total miss and wonders what to do now. Her last hope is the SATM where it all began. Maybe she can find the ticket there. Vowing not to give up, she firmly ties her shoelaces, ready to fight for her future. She bursts out the door, yelling that it's her life, and she will only walk the path of winning. She arrives at the modern building complex, scanning the area for the ATM. Her search is interrupted by two sanitation workers sweeping up piles of fallen leaves. In a moment of sheer desperation, she dives headfirst into the leaves, searching for any clue. Confused, she gets up, certain this is the correct place, but seeing no sign of the ATM. Her heart sinks as she stares at the empty spot on the pavement, realizing the ATM is gone. She frantically asks the workers if they've seen an ATM, but they confirm there's never been one there. Devastated, she collapses to the ground as the concerned workers rush to check on her. With all hope lost, she thinks that now she doesn't even have a chance to win. As she sits defeated, a stylish woman in a mask approaches, annoyed that her map led her to the wrong spot. The woman complains about outdated apps and her scheduled transaction, her voice oddly familiar. Yoonji looks up in confusion as the masked woman, who is also looking for the ATM, shields her eyes and scans the area. The stylish woman mistakes Yoonji for someone trading a bag from Carrot Market, then apologizes for the mix-up. Adjusting her hair, the masked woman turns to leave. As the woman walks away, Yoonji suddenly feels her body grow heavy and struggles to walk. She spots a barcode on the back of the woman's neck, marked D3, and gasps in recognition. Realizing it's an S-lottery ticket, Yoonji grabs the startled woman's shoulder. The masked woman spins around. Annoyed at being stopped so suddenly, Yoonji urgently asks if she has an S-lottery ticket. An online post warns about a crazy person forcefully demanding an S-lottery ticket at an ATM. Yoonji tries to question the woman but hesitates, intimidated. Ah! The masked woman bolts, and Yoonji gives chase, yelling for her to wait. The woman flees down the street with surprising speed. Panicked, Yoonji races after her, knowing she's doomed if she loses this S-lottery ticket. The woman from the shop catches up, shouting that Yoonji forgot her shopping bag, startling her mid-chase. Distracted, Yoonji trips and crashes to the pavement as the woman screams in shock. On the ground, Yoonji desperately bows, begging the woman to take her designer bag instead of the lottery ticket. Trembling with a scraped face, she pleads with the woman not to take her S-lottery ticket, her only means of survival. The woman clarifies there's a misunderstanding and was just asking for the ATM's location, confusing Yoonji with talk of a membership fee. Realizing Yoonji is a clueless newbie, the woman wonders how she even obtained an S-lottery ticket. Her phone rings from inside the shopping bag she just got back. Yoonji answers a call, cheerfully refusing to sell her item and scoffing at the low offer before they hang up. The woman offers to reveal the ATM's location, changing her approach now that she knows Yoonji is inexperienced. Overjoyed, Yoonji calls her an angel, but her hopes are dashed when the woman demands 1 million won for the information. Outraged, Yoonji questions the price, but the woman coldly states that nothing is free. Yoonji admits she's broke until payday, showing her meager cash as the woman looks on, unimpressed. The woman counters with 400,000 won, but Yoonji scoffs, arguing she will make more by selling her designer bag. She proudly shows her phone, proving the bag is in high demand with tons of inquiries flooding in. An image expresses her complete loss of faith in humanity. Clutching the bag, she laments having to sell something she barely even used. She gazes at the beautiful white purse inside, finding it hard to let go. Reluctantly, Yoonji agrees to a new price of 500,000 won, and the woman agrees to find the ATM. The woman's phone reveals a new SATM location, and she urges Yoonji to hurry and get the cash. After the woman verifies the transaction, Yoonji understands the process. Holding the cash, Yoonji worries it's not enough when the woman reveals tickets are 40,000 won each. The woman is stunned by the high price, realizing she can barely afford any tickets after setting aside money for food. As the masked woman turns to leave, Yoonji desperately asks what app she used to find the ATM. Turning back with a sharp look, the woman asks how much she'll pay for that information. Defeated, Yoonji apologizes and tells her to go, watching her use the lottery withdrawal machine. The masked woman hesitates for a moment before leaving. The woman explains there's an online community for S-Lottery users that requires a serial number to join. She adds that it's full of info, a reward for returning her bag, declaring them even. Waving goodbye, the masked woman departs from the SATM, leaving Yoonji to her fate. Clutching her few bills, Yoonji prays to all the gods for a miracle. The machine dispenses a first-place S-Lottery ticket. Holding the ticket in prayer, she desperately hopes for a win. A stark screen reveals that out of the 2 tickets she bought, she managed to win one. Back in the present, a staff member tells the now slim Miss Gulgenbach it's time for the live stream. In his office, Joram thoughtfully examines a designer gift box. Holding the expensive quilted purse, he thinks to himself that something about this feels off. When a staff member says it's time to start, Joram suggests waiting, claiming not all the viewers are present yet. The staff member gently insists they should start on time, leaving Joram looking puzzled. Startled, Joram stares at his phone, wondering what is going on. In the studio, Yoonji stands bewildered, equally confused by the situation. She nervously surveys the large crowd of staff, wondering if her streams always had this many people. As Yoonji examines her apron, Joram realizes she's not just a pretty face, but a golden goose. With a calculating smile, he decides she's an asset worth keeping close. He continues to watch her, reaffirming his thought that she is a goose that lays golden eggs. Joram's sly smile solidifies as he confirms to himself that she's worth the effort. Joram bursts in, startling Yoonji with the news that 40,000 people are in the waiting queue, leaving her in disbelief. He encourages her to do her best today, and she watches him, taken aback. She enthusiastically agrees, and they slap their hands together with a loud clap to signal their fighting spirit. The livestream begins with Joram greeting his fans and Yoonji introducing herself as Unscratched Lottery Ticket. Viewers flood the chat with questions and cynical comments about her sudden weight loss, leaving Yoonji flustered. Joram smoothly intervenes, telling his viewers to save their questions for her own broadcast, and they agree. He suggests they cook for each other, and though Yoonji worries about his small appetite, he promises to eat everything. Joram unveils the main ingredient for their cooking stream, massive trays of top-tier Jeju black pork. Overjoyed, Yoonji gasps at the sight of the black pork, while Joram teases her playfully. Joram explains his first step is to carefully separate the fat from the meat. He will then use the separated fat to render rich pork lard. Next, he begins frying a batch of French fries in the bubbling lard. Confused, Yoonji asks what will happen to the lean meat as viewers in the chat echo her question. To her horror, Joram cheerfully announces he's going to throw all the prime pork away. No way, Yoonji lunges forward, grabbing the cutting board to stop him from wasting the food. She passionately pleads on stream not to waste the meat, offering to take it herself, much to the chat's amusement. Declaring she'll make smiley face fries and meat, Yoonji takes charge, leaving a surprised Joram to agree. With intense focus, Yoonji begins preparing her dish with ferocious energy. Wah! A massive grease fire erupts from the pan, causing both of them to scream in shock. Joram presents his perfectly plated, high-quality fries and turns the attention to Yoonji's dish. Announcing she's nearly finished, Yoonji grabs a bottle of ketchup for the final touch. She intently squeezes the bottle, adding a thick stream of ketchup to her creation. She proudly reveals her dish, a giant, horrifying smiley face made of meat and ketchup, which the chat dubs a creation from hell. Joram calls the dish uniquely large, while Yoonji wonders who could possibly eat it all. As Joram hesitantly prepares to take a bite, he tells Yoonji to get ready to eat as well. In an instant, her plate is sparkling clean, stunning Joram and the viewers, who wonder if it's finger food. They both stare in shock at the viewer count, which has skyrocketed to over 3,370,000. Joram reflects on how easily their stagnant viewership suddenly exploded. Looking at the still shocked Yoonji, he decides he needs to keep a closer eye on her. Joram quietly suggests they have ramen to settle their stomachs after the broadcast, and Yoonji eagerly agrees. In his mind, He imagines her apartment as a minefield of luxury brand shopping bags. Later, they eat ramen in her messy room, where she apologizes and he reassures her it's fine. Yoonji finally asks Joram why he's never been curious about her sudden transformation when everyone else gossips. He cryptically replies that her secret is much more fun while it remains a mystery, leaving her baffled. Joram explains that her mysterious transformation is a massive source of buzz that will drive curious viewers to their channels. He tells her that maintaining her fame is far more important than how she lost the weight. Joram suddenly proposes a long-term collaboration, suggesting her buzz and his experience would be a winning combination. She panics internally, worried about committing when she doesn't even know where the ATM is, and fears another crisis. Sensing her hesitation, Joram graciously tells her to take her time to think about it, and she agrees. Later, Yoonji lies on her floor, frantically trying to figure out what to search for on her phone. She has a flash of inspiration and begins tapping furiously on her phone. Finding a notice for volunteer work, she wonders why it's so random before calling the Hyeomang Rehabilitation Center. She excitedly offers to volunteer, only to be bluntly told they aren't accepting volunteers before they hang up on her. On the phone, Yoonji explains she needs to volunteer to rank up and provides her ID, Mukbang. Click to her surprise, her application is accepted, and she's told to check her text for details. Puzzled, she wonders why there's so little information online about the Hyeomang Rehabilitation Center. Arriving at a dilapidated, spooky location, she nervously hopes she'll be all right. A bus travels down a rural road in a heavy downpour, setting a gloomy scene. Riding the bus, Yoonji feels a sense of dread, comparing the rainy day to a death flag in a movie. She spots a lone figure shivering in the rain outside the bus window. Peering closer, she sees it's a very thin, distressed-looking girl, leaving her completely baffled. Filled with concern, she worries about the girl standing unprotected in the harsh rain. The bus driver announces her stop, snapping her out of her thoughts as she thanks him. Squeal! The bus drives off, leaving her alone at the bus stop in the pouring rain. Confused, Yoonji stands alone at the desolate bus stop, umbrella in hand. Looking at the remote, rural surroundings, she questions if a rehab center could really be here. She trembles slightly as she navigates the rainy path, checking her phone for guidance. Following the signs, she continues her search for the center. She stops short, recognizing the shivering girl from before standing by a doorway. It's definitely the person she saw walking in the rain, looking cold and miserable. Yoonji approaches with her umbrella, kindly asking the startled girl if she is okay. She offers to share her umbrella, warning the girl that she'll catch a cold. The girl declines, saying she's already soaked and cryptically adds that she doesn't know if she's going home, stunning Yoonji. The girl worries that returning in her current state will disappoint everyone. Whoosh! In a shocking act of kindness, Yoonji pulls off her own hoodie to give to the girl, who protests that it's not about the clothes. Now wearing Yoonji's oversized hoodie, the girl timidly thanks her. Insisting the area is too dark and dangerous, Yoonji offers to walk her home, and the girl quietly agrees. Yoonji is shocked to learn the girl walked, because she had no bus fare, and asks what she bought. Realizing her question was insensitive, Yoonji shares a story about running home after spending all her money on food, trying to relate. Trying to lighten the mood, Yoonji remarks that the sound of the rain makes her crave pork belly. At the mention of food, the girl startles with a wide-eyed look. Yoonji continues chatting enthusiastically about a pork belly restaurant, unaware of the other girl's silent reaction. The girl points ahead, announcing they've arrived at her place, surprising Yoonji. Yoonji stares in shock at their destination. The home is a foreboding building with a creepy statue, as crows caw in the stormy sky. Lightning flashes, revealing the ominous sign for the Hyeomang Rehabilitation Center. The home is a foreboding building with a creepy statue, as crows caw in the stormy sky. Lightning flashes, revealing the ominous sign for the Hyeomang Rehabilitation Center. Stunned, Yoonji asks if this is her home, but the girl clarifies she's just staying there and can go in alone. A man appears with an umbrella, calling out the name Yori, revealing the girl's identity. The man chides Yori for disappearing without an umbrella, and she tearfully apologizes, saying she couldn't hold back. Yori explains that Yoonji helped her, and the man thanks Yoonji, offering to take over. Yoonji stops them, announcing she's there for volunteer work, and the man pauses in surprise. The man confirms her identity is Mukbang, explaining she's the only volunteer who signed up today. Yoonji smiles, realizing this man must be a fellow Lottery user. The rain pours down on the large, isolated rehabilitation center. As the man asks Yori if she's eaten, Yunji follows, noting the clean interior despite the scary facade. Swoosh. The man leads a somber Yori inside the building. From a window, the man watches Yunji as she begins to walk away. Huh? Yunji pauses mid-step, a flicker of unease on her face. She looks back toward the building, sensing that someone was watching her. The man calls out to Mukbang, asking why she isn't coming inside, and she quickly denies anything is wrong. He encourages her to come in and join them, leaving her to face the eerie building. The man explains their duties are simple cleaning and meal service, starting with the hallway, and Yunji enthusiastically agrees. Another volunteer approaches, greeting Yunji as the newcomer and expressing surprise that Yori is there. The woman asks the man, Soo-young's dad, for help with a heavy box she dragged, but he says he would have gotten it. Yunji cheerfully lifts the heavy boxes herself, shocking the others with her surprising strength. As they all struggle noisily with the box, a stern woman with glasses appears, demanding to know what the commotion is about. With a severe expression, the stern woman states there's no time for them to be chatting like this. She orders them to move the packages, her sharp gaze landing on a startled Yori. The stern woman looks down on Yori, coldly remarking that she hasn't changed at all. Her expression darkens as she calls Yori a disappointment, finding it almost funny she ever thought Yori was doing well. Terrified under the woman's glare, Yori stammers, unable to find the words to defend herself. Elsewhere, a boy in sportswear leans against a wall, panting heavily from exhaustion. Wiping his brow, he steels himself for one last lap but pauses, hearing something unexpected. Wah! Yunji furiously mops the hallway with intense energy, yelling that the cleaning is done. Popping back, Yunji greets the boy cheerfully and warns him to be careful on the slippery floor. She proudly gestures to the sparkling hallway, laughing that she scrubbed it so hard even flies would slip. Standing proudly beside bags of pulled weeds, Yunji announces the task is complete. Wiping her brow in a spotless bathroom, Yunji declares that cleaning is also finished. She pauses, realizing she's been thinking about something strange. Looking around the bathroom, she suddenly wonders why there are no mirrors. The friendly volunteer pops her head in, calling for Mukbang to help serve lunch, and Yunji eagerly agrees. Wearing a pink apron and beret, Yunji happily serves food to a resident in the lunch line. The buffet offers a simple spread of lettuce, egg rolls, and zucchini pancakes. Yunji hums happily, carrying a tray piled high with a massive portion of food. Searching for a seat, her eyes land on Yori sitting by herself. Yori sits dejectedly, barely poking at the food on her tray. Sighing, she pushes away a piece of food, showing no interest in eating. Yunji suddenly appears beside her, startling Yori by asking if she has no appetite. She kindly offers Yori a chocolate bar, but Yori politely declines, asking if it isn't for Yunji herself. Waving it off, Yunji insists it's fine because she has another, and tells Yori to enjoy her meal. Another resident whispers to Yori that Yunji is the famous Mukbang YouTuber, unscratched lottery ticket. Yori stares down at the chocolate bar, sadly thinking that she doesn't even remember what one tastes like. Her hand trembles as she grips the candy bar, a silent struggle playing out on her face. As she leaves, the center staffer tells Yunji her rank-up will be processed tomorrow and to book in advance for next time. Yunji smiles and waves goodbye to the staff members outside the building. Exhausted on the bus, she decides to sleep during the hour-long trip back. Ring her phone buzzes to life, startling her awake. It's Joram, inviting her for dinner since his mom made too much kimbap. Despite claiming she's not hungry, Yunji cheekily tells him she'll have 10 rolls. Later, at Joram's place, he calls out for his cat, Guibongi. Joram finds Yunji on the floor, meowing at his cat, wondering aloud why the pet isn't responding. When Joram offers the cat a churu treat, Yunji gets excited, prompting him to ask why she's the one reacting. They sit down to a huge meal of kimbap and ramen, and Yunji is ecstatic to eat her mom's cooking after so long. Joram asks Yunji what she thought of their stream, and she jokes that his horrifying dish looked like it was deep-fried in hell. While Joram savors his mother's kimbap, Yunji thinks to herself how surprisingly nice he is in person. Yunji tells Joram she's impressed he's a good person who didn't ask a lot of nosy questions. PF it. When she casually mentions they agreed to collaborate more, Joram spits his drink out in shock. He stammers in disbelief that she actually decided, but Yunji clarifies that she's still thinking about it. Pausing with her chopsticks, Yunji admits she realized how lacking her performance was when re-watching the difficult stream. Joram looks at her thoughtfully, confessing he also feels collabs are beyond his level, and that he just got lucky. Joram praises Yoonji for her persistence, telling her that never giving up on her channel despite the hate is a true talent, which brings her to tears. He insists her opportunity wasn't luck, but something she created herself, empowering her to do whatever she wants. Overcome with emotion, Yoonji thanks him profusely, but he lightens the mood by joking about seeing radish in her mouth, only for her to clarify it's a gold tooth. Joram then warns her not to trust that person too much, citing his good intuition, but Yoonji playfully asks if he's just jealous. He flusters, denying any jealousy, but she laughs, teasing that she's definitely onto something. Changing the subject, Joram tells her to pick a dessert and checks a delivery app, while his cat Guibangi's stomach growls in the background. The scene shifts to the quiet, imposing rehabilitation center under the light of a full moon. Inside her room, Yayori sits up in bed with her laptop, greeting everyone as she begins a broadcast. She watches a mukbang video of a cheerful, heavier girl, explaining to her viewers that she had to get her food to go since the snack shop didn't allow filming. Focused intently on the video, she reminds herself to eat the noodles first before they get soggy. As the video plays, Yori quietly remarks to herself on how well the streamer eats. Her hand, holding the chocolate bar from Yoonji, trembles above a scale that reads a stark 0.0 kilograms. URK. She suddenly gags, covering her mouth in a moment of visceral self-rejection. As the mukbang streamer on her laptop exclaims how delicious the food is, Yori rushes away from her desk. Taoi, kneeling over the toilet, she purges, miserably wondering why everything delicious has to be fattening. Standing up, the extreme thinness of her legs is starkly visible. She tries to wash the feeling away, splashing her face with water at the sink. Staring into the basin, she sees the reflection of her former, heavier self staring back at her. Looking up, her face is a mask of exhaustion and despair, tears streaking down her cheeks. An advertisement encourages readers to find more chapters on the website. The scene returns to Joram, who is editing a video of his stream after his broadcast has ended. He reacts in disgust to his screen, complaining about a poop smell and asking his cat what he's gonna do. He smiles fondly at his phone, the narration revealing he's looking at something from Yoonji. While eating instant noodles, Joram watches Yoonji's live stream, worrying that she should be eating healthier than ramen. Live on her stream, Yoonji warmly thanks a fan named Mukbang for subscribing despite the recent controversy. Roar Joram explodes with defensive rage, spitting his food as he yells that of course she has fans. He laughs, realizing Yoonji has no idea her supportive fan is him, and then thanks another early supporter, Mukpamin Explosion. Speaking to his own audience, he acknowledges that his sudden physical change must be confusing for them. He looks at her channel page and openly admits that he changed without effort, apologizing if it makes anyone uncomfortable. Back on her stream, Yoonji faces the mixed comments with a smile, promising to work hard to create content everyone can enjoy. Watching her, Joram smiles, relieved that she wasn't discouraged and that he worried for nothing. Stretching, Joram notes the time and decides to leave to avoid being nagged. The scene shifts to a bustling city street illuminated by neon signs at night. A boy in a black hoodie calls Kang Yoonji, telling her that today is the day he's bringing her side dishes. He hangs up the phone, confirming he'll be over that evening. He leaves Joang restaurant, thanking the owner on his way out. The owner notices he cleaned his plate, while the boy in the hoodie lingers just outside the restaurant door. He pops back in to order a pork stir-fry. Much to the owner's confusion, the owner recognizes him as a dine-and-dasher, demanding he pay for last time, but he feigns ignorance. FWAH. Revealed to be his mother, the owner furiously grabs his hair for skipping the bill while he yelps in pain. Now sitting together, his mom laments that her youth is gone, and he cheekily remarks that her 50s are well past her prime. She playfully swats him on the head as he yells, and she continues sighing about getting weaker. He bets her money that there's a metal chunk in her work glove before they high-five, much to her exasperation. He tells her to relax, but she quickly changes the subject, asking how Kang Yoonji is doing. He panics, yelling that losing half her weight in a day isn't fine, and something must be wrong, but his mom reassures him she'll help if needed. His mom says she prepared nutritious side dishes for Yoonji, and hurries to the kitchen to pack them. He's shocked when she returns with huge stacks of food, dryly telling him to have Yoonji eat it sparingly since she didn't make much. After thanking his mom and sending her an allowance, he asks for some kimchi, but she flatly refuses. She agrees to make him 10 heads of kimchi for next week, and waves goodbye to her son as he leaves with the food. Elsewhere, Yoonji puts on a cap, adjusting it with a determined expression. Looking confident, Yoonji poses in her slim form, wearing a college sweatshirt and a new cap. She excitedly looks at her phone, exclaiming that she's found the ATM's location. The map on her phone shows the SATM is much closer than she had anticipated. The boy from the restaurant arrives at her door and is shocked by her glasses, while she's stunned to see him, calling out, "Bibing Seojun?" Seojun hands her the food, promising kimchi for next week, and Yoonji is thrilled to get his mom's side dishes. He asks where she is heading, but she flusters and lies that she was just coming back in. Leaving her building, a tired Seojun yawns and decides to just head home to sleep. Yoonji watches him go from her window, silently apologizing to Seojun. She can't tell him about the S lottery ticket, knowing he'd stop her from using it. Now, running across a street at night, Yoonji tells herself she's almost there. She checks her phone again, confirming the location is just around the corner. With a flash of light, she triumphantly spots the SATM booth. She stares at her winnings, 4 tickets, including 1 4th place and 3 5th place. Looking at the handful of tickets, she reminds herself she only needs to use 1. A note explains a rule. By not sleeping after winning, she can maintain her slim form even after the countdown ends. Another rule dictates that with multiple tickets, the lowest ranking one must be used first. Lying down, she scrolls through her phone, confused by conflicting online opinions about the tickets. Reverting to her heavier form, she clutches her phone, fearing that doing anything reckless could have bad consequences. Her determination returns as she thinks about how annoying small prizes are and how a new method could end her stress about rankings. Restless in her bed, she tosses and turns, unable to sleep. She sweats with resolve, making a difficult decision. She glares at the 4th place ticket, angrily questioning why she can't hit the jackpot with a 50-50 chance. Looking in the mirror, she sees her slim self and cheers that her risky gambit worked. She touches the back of her neck and discovers the barcode now reads, "Error," wondering if the countdown's combined. Her face contorts in a flash of color and shock. She suddenly feels weak, clutching her chest as she panics over her pounding heartbeat. She covers her mouth, overcome by a wave of nausea. Looking pale and sick, she fears she's now suffering the side effects she read about online. Her strength fails, and she collapses to the floor. Writhing in pain, she feels like her body is burning and could shatter at any moment. She crawls weakly, realizing she has to get to a hospital or she's going to die. Her trembling hands stop short of her phone as she panics about changing back at the hospital. Reaching desperately for her phone, she questions if she can even risk going. She collapses just short of her phone, her strength completely gone. Lying helpless on the floor, she realizes she is in serious trouble. Elsewhere, Seojun calls Yoonji, wondering why she isn't picking up to get her kimchi. He arrives at her door just as a feverish Yoonji stumbles out, weakly calling his name. Leaning against the doorframe, she desperately begs him to save her. He watches in horror as she loses her balance and falls towards him. Kang Yoonji. He shouts her name as she collapses unconscious in the hallway. Kneeling beside her, he's shocked by how hot her body is, but she weakly insists she's fine. He tells her they need to go to the hospital, but she refuses, admitting she's too weak to walk. Urgh! He screams with effort, trying to lift her into his arms. He falls back, completely baffled by his inability to move her. He tries again, straining and yelling with all his might, but she remains impossibly heavy. Stunned and sweating, he can't understand why he can't lift Kang Yoonji. As he struggles, he wonders in disbelief why she is so unbelievably heavy. A memory surfaces of cruel classmates telling Yoonji to either lose weight or give them her pretty face. In a chilling close-up, a smiling Yoonji thinks to herself, "But I'm already slim." The scene reveals her heavier body standing in the dark, questioning the situation as if it's a separate entity. In a panic, the girl realizes she only got slim thanks to the S lottery and worries about her streaming future. Bam! She collapses in despair, screaming for her slimmed-down body back. A red system window appears, asking if she wants to use the S lottery again, and she recognizes the trope from webtoons. Of course, it's a yes for her as she eagerly reaches for the button, but as she lunges, the window zips away from her grasp, leaving her confused. She frantically chases the fleeing prompt, screaming for it to stop. Defeated, she collapses on the floor before the tauntingly out-of-reach window. She angrily yells at the window, questioning why it would even appear if it won't let her press it. Suddenly, she pauses, hearing a familiar voice in the darkness. A voice urges Kang Yoonji to get it together, as a memory flashes of him carrying her. Her vision blurs. showing a medical center and a waiting room as she wonders where she is. In the memory, she clings to Seo-jun's back as he struggles, confused about how she got here from home. Overcome with exhaustion, she murmurs that she's sleepy and passes out on his shoulder. With a jolt, she snaps back to awareness. Sweating with relief and exhaustion, Seo-jun tells her to wait there while he registers her. She finds herself sitting alone in a hospital waiting room, slowly realizing she's outside. The fact that she's in public hits her with a shockwave of panic. Touching her slim legs, she's relieved her body hasn't changed, but fears it could happen any second. Her body feels paralyzed as she wonders why Seo-jun is just standing there instead of helping her. Two hospital staff members approach a bewildered Seo-jun, offering to help the patient, and he gratefully accepts. To everyone's confusion, the two men struggle to carry Seo-jun away instead of Yoonji. Seo-jun frantically insists he's not the patient while being dragged off, as Yoonji's soul seems to leave her body in sheer disbelief. The scene settles on Yoonji, resting in a hospital bed with an IV, while Seo-jun sits watchfully beside her. Looking at her sleeping form, Seo-jun sighs in relief, admitting he really thought she was going to die. He flashes back to the orderlies helping him, realizing he never would have been able to carry her there alone. He wonders why she's so incredibly heavy, guessing that only her appearance changed, but not her actual mass. He moves her hair and discovers a strange barcode on her neck that reads, "Error." He wonders if it's just a tattoo sticker, certain Kang Yoonji never had one before. A phone starts ringing on the bedside table. A man with light hair in a sports car calls, asking to speak to Yoonji about a meeting. Seo-jun takes the call, explaining he's her friend and she's sick at the hospital, which concerns the caller. The man in the car understands and asks that Yoonji call him back when she's feeling better. Yoonji stirs, sleepily asking who called as Seo-jun checks if she's okay. Seo-jun explains that Joram, the guy who barely eats, called about their meeting. Anxious, Yoonji checks her body, wanting to go home before she changes back, but Seo-jun asks if she's feeling unwell. A nurse enters and cheerfully asks Yoonji if she's awake and feeling better. The nurse good-naturedly remarks on how much her boyfriend struggled, joking they almost thought he was the patient. The word boyfriend makes Yoonji blush and stammer. Seo-jun glares, internally fuming at the suggestion and insisting they're practically family. He forces a laugh, awkwardly trying to diffuse the misunderstanding. Patting her on the head, he loudly proclaims their sibling bond, much to her annoyance. He trembles at the thought, while she quickly refuses, insisting she's fine to walk. She says getting carried is overkill, then realizes she doesn't have her shoes. He offers her his own shoes, explaining he rushed out with only his wallet and phone. She asks what he'll wear, and he reassures her that his socks are fine. He proudly shows off his goofy socks, but she's thoroughly unimpressed. He insists she take them, so she finally gives in and starts putting on his shoes. Getting out of the hospital bed, Yoonji feels a wave of dizziness, realizing she isn't fully recovered yet. Seo-jun's arm appears as he tells her to hold on to him for support. He gently takes her hand, warning her not to risk walking alone and tripping. She thanks him, and he sighs with relief that she's at least able to walk now. While they walk out, he bluntly asks about her weight, admitting she was much heavier than he expected, to her complete shock. 2 weeks pass. For 7 days, Seo-jun cared for a bedridden Yoonji, who could then only eat porridge for another week. She reads a note he left, telling her to start eating regular meals with him and nothing else. Resting on her couch, she thinks about how he sacrificed his sleep to care for her and feels determined to repay him. Holding the note, she feels a wave of relief that her body thankfully hasn't changed back yet. Reading an online forum, she learns about the barcode side effects from other users and calculates she has about 4 days left. Ding dong. The doorbell rings, and she jumps up, surprised that Bang Seo-jun is already there for lunch. Her expression freezes into a horrified, unnatural smile as she sees who's actually at her door. Instead of Seo-jun, it's Joram, the man from the phone call, holding a cake and asking if she's feeling better.